live, and I'm so excited. So maybe Spencer and Dylan. Dylan's one of our awesome salespeople, and anyone from Fullcast that could help us distribute these books. We're so excited that we have on September 9th, our book called The RevOps Advantage is being published by the same people who did Frank Slootman's book, Amp It Up, and Snowflake's book, Busting Silos, and other books. And there are 16 additional people here who have contributed to the book. So I thought, what better opportunity, because we have advanced copies now, than to give everybody a book, right? Woohoo! So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being willing to come and contribute to the book. And so I would like to have a few of our contributors come up. And if we could, I'm going to just come around to the audience. I'm going to forego any, I do want to sit in the Jimmy Kimmel chair, but I'm not going to. So if we could have Rob Levy, Louis Poland. Oh, shoot, I'm doing the wrong one. Rob Levy still. Rob Levy, Louis Poland. Thank you. Jared Barrell. Eric Charles. Yeah, bring a book. Whitney Merrill. And you guys have to quote yourself. That's the rule. You have to quote yourself. Whitney Merrill. Andrew Conley. And if I have missed anybody that has contributed to the book who has not yet come up, come, Keith. This is way too many. Isn't this amazing, though? It's amazing. Other people, well, there are a few others.
Okay. Yeah, old and a couple young white males.
All right, you guys, this is so exciting. Okay, so, all right, Tiff wants me to take a picture because I have to get a picture like this. This is so awesome. Yes, thank you. Okay, where's Bala? Bala, you're a co-author here. Where are you? Ryan? Come on, guys. Everyone's shy in this group. All right, so you guys see the caliber and quality of what is in this book. There is no way we could have done this book without these guys right here. And many others of you who are in the audience and don't want to come up, and I'm not going to call you out. So, all right, who's...
Quick note. This would not have been possible without this. None of that.
The best, thank you. I am very good at harassing. It's like my main skill set, actually. So, okay, who has got a question for these guys? You see here, the RevOps Advantage. Let me just start off with a seating question here. And if you guys could grab a couple mics so you can kind of pass them around to each other. Here's the first seating question, and this is the reason that we wrote this book. When Skyhorse Publishing reached out to us and said, can you please publish the definitive guide to the RevOps industry, we're like, sure, we would love to do that. And it's being distributed by Simon & Schuster. It's in bookstores everywhere. But the reason that is because the RevOps industry is still changing and growing. And that's why we have this conference. That's why we have this community. And so the first question I have for you guys is, why is there an advantage for companies that use revenue operations teams?
So most organizations are set up for silos. They've been built in functions and teams that are disparate that you have to tie together. RevOps is the first function that's been created that looks end to end. I'll say campaign to cash. And if you have an executive team that understands it, it is the secret weapon to go do it. There's challenges to making that happen. And the metaphor that Amy and I were chatting about, which is Star Trek, sometimes you're Scotty in the engine room and Captain Kirk needs you on the deck. You have to do both. You have to be able to do that. The advantage in an organization that has RevOps is the ship keeps running, but you're there for the executive decisions that get made in real time. That's how it can get done, and that's what we wanted to write about.
That's wonderful. Thank you. And I'm going to go around and just ask you guys to say your names and your anything about yourself, like where you work or your title or whatever, or companies you've worked at before.
Yeah, so I'm Whitney Merrill. So I'm currently at ArcServe doing VP sales transformation. But my history and journey is 15 years of RevOps at Symantec and Equinix. So I wrote a lot about that in the book.
Jared Burrell, serial RevOps and go-to-market strategy leader, places like Salesforce, Copy AI, so big, small, and things in between. Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Rob Levy. I've also been in RevOps probably longer than it's been around. Not a very good marketer. I've been consulting for about a year, and I've called my company Rob Leverage. So stop
I think
laughing.
it's a great marketing name, personally.
But yeah, for me, the advantage is insights. You know, data's not going to get you anywhere. But if you can take those reports and get out of the weeds and provide insights to your executive team, that's what helped me become successful. Maybe a bit lucky in it. Sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss, but just find insights. Doesn't matter. You know, that's what's going to move the company.
Eric Charles, former Calidus, former Exactly, CMO. I've carried a bag. And the big thing about RevOps is stop running reports. The report should be automatically generated, and you should actually know what they mean. You should be going up and saying, have you read this report yet? Because we're about to get killed in the Southeast if we don't get our act together. The RevOps started as an IT person who gave me my login to Act. Remember that? Okay, sorry. The old people go, yes. Thank you. And it evolved into sales ops, and then it became RevOps. And now, if you're not at the table in the executive boardroom, then your company is missing the boat because you're the one that actually knows what's going down and what's breaking.
Louis Poulin, co-founder and COO of an AI startup called Quantum Fused. Have about 15 or 20 years of revenue operations and sales operations experience with companies spanning PayPal, Google, Cisco, and Amazon. When I started this whole journey, I didn't have any gray hair. You can see the after results of what revenue operations has done to me. As I think about sorry, I'll stop with the comedy. When I think about the advantages for revenue operations, especially right now, as we're all looking at the AI revolution and what AI is now doing to really accelerate what our effectiveness is and what value we're able to bring back to the organization. Revenue operations sits at a really unique vantage point within the organization. We are the advocates, the sole advocates typically internally of the entire go-to-market journey, of really being a strong champion for best using tools and processes and data to drive the results that we need. So as we think about AI and having good data that you can leverage, as you think about the insights that are coming that weren't previously available to you through these AI tools, there's so much there that AI can help as we look to figure out how best to operationalize AI into each of our own revenue operations cycles.
I'm Andrew Conley. I'm actually not a revenue or a RevOps leader. I'm a sales leader, so I don't know how I got invited to the party, but I'm glad I'm here. But no, I'm currently leading sales at Guideline, and prior to that, I was at Workato and Qualtrics for about 10 years. So when it comes to RevOps, though, I feel like I'm a very operationally focused sales leader, and so work very closely with revenue operations. And I feel like the key advantage with having a good revenue operations team is the ability to be proactive versus reactive. The data can always tell you what happened, but you want the data to tell you what's going to happen. Otherwise, you're just always treading water and trying to claw back any mistakes or things that could happen to you. So I fundamentally believe that partnering with RevOps gives you that advantage to be able to know what's coming.
Keith Lutz, I'm probably the most disconnected from this group. I am a CIO, so I'm not even in revenue operations or sales. But my career, I've been in fairly large companies. I started in social media, if anyone knows what MySpace is still. Am I so old? So went through retail, mattress firm, worked in huge billion-dollar companies. Prior to this, I was at Avanti as a CIO there. But most recently, in the past couple of years, took on small, like below billion-dollar opportunities with what I learned and really looking at how to really drive change within an organization and really work. You know, traditionally, IT or technology are operators, and they kind of just take the orders and the requests of the executive stakeholders. But I saw a need to be able to partner and enable with our executive stakeholders and really be part of the party. And so I've spent the last couple of years, especially in the go-to-market or RevOps operations, aligning and partnering in helping to mentor and to drive change. And so Amy and I were talking one time, and that's how I got invited to this, is looking how can technology continue to enable the revenue operations of companies. So.
Yeah, that was an important discussion for me because I wasn't sure how to connect with the CIO in the best way. And when we started talking about that, it was such an important part of the revenue operations conversation that we had to include it. So, all right, I'm going to open it up for questions. Who's got a question for these guys? Yes, start here. And then if you can state your name and your company.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Matt Bennett. My company is Locums Collective. I'm curious which functions you feel like AI should definitely be driving right now, currently or in the near future, and which ones AI definitely should not be, that should be human-driven.
I'm gonna, only because we were talking earlier about the healthcare industry and locums. Manual processes that nobody wants to do, and you're thinking about, can I go hire a college intern to just dig through all this stuff to get it done? That's the type of stuff that to throw an AI at, instead of one of your good members of your team, some talent, that is going to be sitting in the room looking at spreadsheets. Some of us love spreadsheets. I still love spreadsheets, but I would be looking for those manual processes you can automate with AI instead of maybe trying to offshore it.
Love it. And Jared.
You know, I did something really that I think was really cool. So this is going to put me in a group. Was we took every won and lost deal we had, and we ran it through a whole bunch of questions. You know, why change? Why company? Why now? And then we tracked every gong call, every email, every transcript we had of every conversation with across that customer. Put together these really robust deal stories that were RAG searchable, and then for win and for loss. And then we started taking that and looking at all of our open opportunities. And we had a few different models that were looking at, you know, this opportunity we have live today. How is it? What won or lost opportunities it look like? Why? What things are accelerating, decelerating? So we could start modifying deal scores in flight based on cohort of won and lost opportunities. That was a really cool use case I saw that had some immediate value.
All on the negative side, what you shouldn't be doing. And this might be an answer no one's ever thought about, but what we're starting to see, especially with the trend of the introduction of agentic AI, where you start giving it autonomy to make decisions during your processes and stuff, we're starting to see the transfer of authority and accountability to AI. And people are starting to trust it as if it is the gold truth and it can't make any mistakes. Trust me, it makes a lot of mistakes. But people just, I don't know if it's subconscious or what it is, but it's like, well, that's what it told me. It's like, it's not my fault. It's like, well, if you start transferring accountability to an agent or an AI, you're going to lose grasp on your business and your ability to be able to take charge and drive change.
I love that. Thank you.
I'm going to go slightly opposite, one more, slightly different to the current, and say that orphaned stepchild, customer success. Make your company way more customer-centric. We all talk about it. We seldom do it. And I've seen success teams are the last to get RevOps support. You know, turn those agents into talking to customers every day, and then take that information and put it back into your company. Sales reps are great, but they don't always have the whole truth. Get direct to the customer.
I love that. Thank you. All right, yes.
Philippe Duchamp, Extreme Networks. So specifically talking about what you're saying, my concern with AI is that in general, and this is a generalization, sorry to repeat myself, a lot of people are focused on tasks, not on outcomes, which invariably means that they're focused not on quality and the end results, but simply following the process. The challenge that I'm seeing with AI is precisely that now I'm actually having a blind spot on quality. They're going to go through the task. They're just automated a task, but they're not looking at the quality. Can you tell me a little bit about how you manage that?
So I'm coming from a perspective of working at an AI workflow company. And the biggest learning I had is auditability. That if you are building AI processes that are blind, then you're blind to the process. And so what you need to do is make sure that there's an auditability and visibility structure to whatever system you're buying into. If it's a third-party system, if you're using one of the models off the shelf and you're using it for API, just like when you build a normal program, have a debug and have a log so you can track back what went wrong.
And I think also in the evolution of SaaS pricing in particular, you're seeing more customers demand outcome-based pricing as opposed to per seat licenses. So show me what you're actually going to be able to do. Help me cut through the clutter and show me the value you're delivering. Why, not necessarily, I'm not asking you to rip and replace your CRM, your BI, and your ERP. But you got to work with me as I'm leveraging your tool to get those outcomes there, quantify those outcomes, and have them show real ties back to your revenue. And some of the smaller, more scrappy companies are already starting to do that, which is really, really interesting as we see this next evolution of SaaS and where SaaS is going next.
Go. Yeah, you.
I'll just say the outcome you want is to be able to have a conversation with the executive team regarding insights you get. And so if you feel you have that path and audit through there, you have to do that. What's happening now is you're required now in these leadership roles in RevOps to have faster and faster ability to respond. So you have to build that trail in so you can do it at speed.
Look for also things that you used to know how to do, and you can ask it to do it. My example is, who here took statistics and remembers doing ANOVAs, maybe in SAS or SPSS? Of all of you that are nodding, who of you could still do that today without having to look it up? I love using AI for doing advanced statistics. I remember my stats class. I remember what the outputs I wanted were. I suddenly get a data set. I'm like, how do I do it? Hold it. There are tools out there to do that I was taught in graduate school, but that was 20 years ago now. Oh, now I can still do it. Those are still good analyses to do to start looking at things. So I like to break things into little tasks that AI can help me with.
Love it. All right, we have another question.
Just a quick one. I've worked with a lot of RevOps leaders within our companies, within our clients, and one of the struggle they have is to get to the C-suite, to really show their power. What advice would you give them on that? How do you get there? How do you get your C-suite to understand the power of RevOps?
I'll just comment back to end-to-end. A lot of the answers the C-suite is getting is from individuals in certain silos or functions. CRO, CSO, anybody, CMO, any of the organization you're there. This is the power of this role. It's end-to-end. So the challenge is, how do you speak truth to power in that space? That's what you're going to do. You're probably the one person that can see all the way through that, and you have to deliver it sometimes if it's contrary to what some of the other leaders are providing. But once you've done that, and once you've created that trusted advisor role, it's golden.
Yeah, for me, it's probably a broken record, but don't just provide the report. Provide the insights that are going to impact the business. Again, you may not get it right, but if you give the execs an idea and they fly with it, holy moly, that suddenly the company moves, meters rather than centimeters, and that's how you get noticed.
So one thing I've seen that works very well also, and I think it's kind of the core of what makes a good revenue operations function, is two things. One, I'm going to quote Whitney here, but you have to be the one to define the definitions of the company effectively. What metrics matter? How do we define the metric? And where does the actual source of those data? And then you're the ones answering that question. And this gets out of the conversation from earlier today around the chief spreadsheet officer negotiating over what spreadsheets right, what dashboards right. That's number one. Number two, compensation. Show me someone's comp plan, I'll tell you what they're going to do. And the same applies to every level in the company. So if you are working to define core definitions of business metrics in the company, and those metrics are what are defining compensation outcomes for the E-staff, now we're having a different conversation, significantly more strategic at multiple levels.
Can I add one thing? Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, and very specific, you walk into the room and say, do you know what your customer acquisition cost is? Sure, we spent this. No, you don't. No. At a Marketo, here's all of this. Here's the events that we also went to. Here's the Sendoso gifts. By the way, I love those things. They're great. All right. Oh, here's the commission cost. And not just the cost of the frontline rep, but also the bonus that the sales engineer got, the manager got, the director got, the SDR got, rolling all the way up to a VP level. If you come in just with that number, and RevOps, you should have access to all of that data and just say, yeah, by the way, the cost of this customer, and by the way, we also analyzed, and the first time we scanned their badges at Dreamforce in 1997 at that company, and we're just now closing them, you've now changed the conversation because you own the information, but you didn't just come in with, again, a spreadsheet. You came in with this is what it cost us to make this company a client.
Love it. I'm going to go on to the next question, and I'm going to ask Andrew first.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm AJ Gandhi. I came up through RevOps. I've been at private equity for the last 5+ years. My question is really about the scope, how you actually master the scope of the RevOps role. So I'll give you a framework of how I think about it. To me, OPS is actually an acronym. The O is operations, that's systems, process, tools. The P is productivity, that's like enablement. And then the S is kind of strategy and planning. So that's ops, and then it's marketing, sales, customer success. That's a really big scope. I don't find that many people who've really mastered it all. So I love the fact that RevOps is a big thing, but as very experienced people, what's your guidance to people trying to actually develop all this competency?
First, I do want to hear from Andrew and your thoughts on this as a sales leader.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm probably the least qualified to answer that one, but so I'm just going to pass the mic to someone.
I'll just start with structure, right? I mean, you have multiple functions across multiple domains. You need knowledge and expertise in all those, right? And so I think from the organizational structure of your RevOps team, how you're going to approach that, and then you go tackle that. If you do not have strong subject matter expertise in the silos we keep talking about, you're dead, because you need to tie it across. So I start with that, and I look at that as a core principle. If I have that functionality in that team, I can then lead.
Yeah, I would add it's company and timing, because it changes with every company at the stage you're at, where you're at, what you're focusing on. So I always go back to the top company objectives, and that's not 5 objectives per every executive leader, which gives you 35 objectives. It's what are the top 2 or 3 things the company is focused on, and then I relay that back to ops and say, okay, what do we need to deliver, whether it be in marketing or sales or enablement or whatever.
I also think the answer changes at different times. When you're beginning the RevOps journey, we've talked about this at length, and I'm going to talk about this with Matt in a little bit as well. But the makeup of your revenue operations organization changes from when you're a 15-person sales organization to a 1,500-person sales organization. The answer is not going to be the same. And so, to everyone here in the audience, when you're thinking about how what the functions and structures within, I would kind of focus to what you said, company objective, and also what you were saying, kind of merge it of what is actually maybe the growth journey of the teams. Because to AJ's point, I don't think there's anyone who's done everything always at the best level. I think it's a question of which capability do we inherit and acquire at what different times.
Wonderful.
Politics, people, partnerships. Don't come into marketing and say, I want to log into Marketo and I'm going to control it. Don't walk into customer success and say, I want to log into Gainsight. Sorry, I'm just going to use some big company names. I don't want access. Just because you have the ownership of the Salesforce instance doesn't mean you own the others. Look for the data, and that is a politics and people game. This is very political because you are intruding on somebody else's domain, and if suddenly the CMO is like, hold it, I make those board slides, why are you making my slides? You can create a political challenge in a company. This has got to be a partnership, and this has to come from the CEO pushing down to make it happen.
I would, and I agree with everyone said there. I'll sit in an executive meeting, and they'll all look at me, and because I own technology, they expect me to know all of their processes, and it's like I can't absorb all of that. I can't understand every little process that you have. But so, 100% people in politics and really understanding the landscape within your organization and who has ownership and responsibility, and aligning yourselves with the proper owners and people who have responsibility. And then as far as your team, if you're managing a team, surround yourself with the best people. And they become really good in different areas of these different processes and systems that you have to support. But at the end of the day, surround yourself with some great people, and don't take the entire responsibility upon yourself, and let people who own that responsibility drive it. Don't drive it for them.
I love that. Here's my last question, guys. I'm going to go down one by one because all of you guys have different functions. Some of you, like Eric, have been a CRO and a CMO. Andrew is a leader in sales. Keith is a leader in IT. CIO, sorry. I'm losing it, guys. It's time for lunch. Anyway, so can you guys go through one by one and say one thing that all the RevOps leaders in here can do to work the very best with you and your role? Okay, Keith, can I start with you?
Yeah. Trust that we have your best interests at heart. Like, IT is always the one you guys like to yell at. I don't know. Maybe in every organization, it's just because we don't deliver enough tools. I don't know. We're too slow, probably, to be able to make change. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, especially when it comes to IT, we really are looking at an opportunity to have a seat at the table. We just don't want to be told what to do. We want to partner with you, and we want to be part of the solution. So let us be part of the solution. I think you'll see amazing things happen.
I love that.
So in sales, I feel like I've had a privilege to be working with really great RevOps leaders. Cody, actually sitting over there, is a good buddy of mine, and we worked together at Qualtrics for a long time. I think when it comes to partnering with RevOps, for me in sales, it's about storytelling. I think the data, I mean, anyone can pull the data, but like RevOps to understand and tell the story and tell the narrative, that's the key unlock. And I think if you're good at storytelling, that's how you get access to the executive team. That's how you get access to actually be proactive versus reactive. So to me, RevOps leaders that can tell stories is much better than just showing spreadsheets or graphs and charts.
I love that.
I think for me as a RevOps leader, give me the opportunity within an organization to earn your trust. Structure RevOps in an organization where it makes the most sense, where you're going to have the greatest voice and the ability to earn that trust of both the C-suite and the boards if you're working directly with the boards. I found myself in organizations that want a RevOps function in theory and in practice, but when you actually implement that and you realize the loss of control around sales, marketing, CS, finance, the C-suite, things start to get weird, agendas start to get undermined. So what I think one of my biggest learnings is always ask these questions up front before you go into an organization that's desperate for a RevOps function to ensure that you're set up for success, your team's set up for success, and also the C-suite and the leaders you're supporting understand the roadmap and the plan to actually get an integrated revenue operations function established for you.
I'm sorry, I'd like to pull on that for a little bit.
Sure.
Is the RevOps function a centripetal? Is it an adjunct? What's the hierarchy? Or is it
It's choose your own adventure, truly. I've been in structures where I report to the CFO, to the CRO, to the chief sales officer, to the CEO. None of them are right or wrong. It really just depended on the leaders, the companies, their ability to want to partner, and their recognition of the value that you as an organization and a leader can bring to them. If you have that, doesn't matter the title necessarily, but if you have that support and you have the voice of the higher-ups within your organization and you can show that you can execute and you understand their pain points, you're golden. And you will be that trusted business advisor and you will deliver incredible value back to your organization.
And by the way, in the book, Louis lays out with org charts how he got AWS from a 3-person org to a 150-person org, and what an SMB org should look like, and what a mid-market org should look like. It's amazing.
It's a good read, Amy.
It's a good read. Thanks, guys. Shameless plug. All right, Eric, your turn.
Partner with me. I'll use my CMO title. Partner with me. Come into my team meeting. Let's jointly present the information. Let's review that information before you present it so we make sure we're on the same page. That way, when we walk into the executive staff meeting, if I present something and I look to you and say, now what did I miss? And you bring up 2 extra things that we've already talked about, that helps. If you backstab me, you're not going to work with me. And I've seen this. I've been the recipient. I've been the provider. The knives come out when the numbers are bad. Don't be the one that ambushes somebody in that meeting or the partnership is dead.
I love that so much. One thing that Pete does for me, he's our, I don't know if he's in here, but one thing he does for, he's right there. Pete, raise your hand. Pete's going to take us all to a bar at 5 o'clock tonight, by the way. I'm just announcing it now. He actually is. One thing that Pete does for me is that he will call me in advance of the executive meeting if something's going down. So, and we do our talk track together, and I love that so much about him. He never ambushes me. Great. All right, Rob.
Being a RevOps leader, what I recommend to people coming up in that function is become a people person. We tend to have an analytical spreadsheet background, and that's our happy place. And you can get stuck in there. in the CRM, wherever. Walk around, meet the people that you're working for, both up and down the organization. Speak to the CMO, speak to the marketing person who's running Marketo, speak to the sales rep. The more you really understand them, the more you can deliver what they want, as opposed to just go run that AI agent without asking anybody.
Love it. Thank you, Rob. Jared.
There's very little new I can add after these 5. So I think instead, maybe slightly different direction is the value that we provide and the way to have a good and constructive relationship across is the same almost in any function in a company. Open lines of communication, frequent communication, transparent communication. That's it. If we have that across our partners, as a RevOps leader, a go-to-market strategy leader, former product strategy leader, it's the same. Without that, trust breaks down, careers get derailed, businesses fail, and you've seen it time and time again.
I love that. Communication, guys. That's where it's at. Whew.
And I'll just close out from moving to a sales role now and looking across to my RevOps partner on the other side. I'm constantly thinking, how do I get a gold star? A gold star on the go-to-market side, working with RevOps, is they're trying to deliver a strategic objective. How do I execute that, but not just think my own silo? So I have to think about that. How do I do that? I keep asking why and how to do that. I will get the most out of that RevOps leader every time.
Oh, I love that. You guys, can we give them all a huge round of applause? This was such an amazing session. Thank you so much. Guys, I feel like you should take a bow, pose, something. That was